Right.
That being shared.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
All right.
Hippie Rick's gonna be here. There's Hunter.
There's Hunter and there's Hippie Rick. How you doing?
Hi, Hippie.
Hey, y'all doing? Good evening, y'all. Hunter, you with us?
Welcome all.
Yes, I'm
Glad to have
here.
you
I
here.
got a friend joining soon too, my friend Trent. So I'll introduce him when he gets in here.
All right. Well,
Thanks.
we're gonna play our little video. So just if you,
Good evening, everybody.
hey
Hello, Rick.
Howdy, Rick.
hey Rick,
Welcome.
welcome. Glad to have you here. All right, we're gonna play our video so we give people time to come in. You all have already heard it, so get you a cup of coffee or something, okay?
Well, what on L1 needs change where it says that
All
it's drivable.
I don't see the video yet.
right. Let me know when you
There we
see
go.
it.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I got the graphic.
Cool. Let me know if you hear it.
All right, everyone, welcome back for another
Good to
deep
go.
dive. Today, we're going to be heading down south to Kentucky to take a look at something pretty interesting going on down there.
Yeah,
Cannabis reform.
absolutely. And we've got a whole lot to cover too. We've been looking through some legislative documents, getting intel from advocacy groups,
Oh, very cool.
and we've even got some data analysis to really get into the nitty gritty of what's going on and why folks should be paying attention.
Okay, so let's dive right into this, shall we? And listeners, you are in for a treat because Kentucky is potentially on the verge of something big, right? Like, we're not just talking about tweaking some minor laws here.
No, not at all. This is something much bigger, potentially even a constitutional amendment.
Whoa, really? A constitutional amendment?
Yeah, it's called HB 105. And it could
I have all my clothes in
actually
my car too.
and directly vote on cannabis decriminalization.
Okay, hold on. You're going to have to break this down for me because it's a pretty major development, a constitutional amendment.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So this HB 105, what it does is it guarantees adults 21 and older the right to possess, use, buy, or sell up to 1 ounce of cannabis.
Okay.
And they could even cultivate up to 5 plants for personal use,
Oh,
all without any criminal penalties.
so it's not just about legalization, it's about putting the power in the hands of Kentuckians to actually make this decision themselves.
Exactly.
I can see why you're so excited about this. It seems like a pretty big deal. But why go the route of a constitutional amendment? I mean, wouldn't just passing a regular law be enough?
Well, think about it this way. If they change the state constitution,
Yeah.
it's a much more permanent change, you know? Future legislatures can't just come in and easily reverse it.
Oh, okay.
It's a way to really solidify this change and protect it for the people who support decriminalization.
Right, because it's literally written into the fabric of the state's laws.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've got this bill, HB 105, potentially changing the game in Kentucky. But there's also a group that's been super vocal about pushing for this change.
Yeah, the Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition.
The KCFC. I've heard of these guys. They've been making some noise.
Oh, yeah, they're doing some amazing work.
So what exactly is their role in all of this?
Well, they're a nonprofit advocacy group,
Okay.
and they're working totally within the legal system to educate the public about cannabis.
All right.
You know, dispelling those myths and advocating for common sense reforms like HB 105.
So they're not just about shouting from the rooftops. They're actually getting down to the nuts and bolts of making this happen.
Exactly. And they're really smart about it too. They have this initiative called Survey Says,
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
where they gauge public opinion, you know,
Very cool.
to show that there's widespread support for change.
Smart.
It's all about fostering open dialogue and really getting people talking about this issue.
I love that. All right, so we've got this potential game changer in HB 105. We've got the KCFC working hard to make it a reality, and it sounds like there's a lot of public support brewing. So let's say someone listening to this is totally fired up about this issue. Right. What can they actually do to help push HB 105 across the finish line?
Well, this is where things get really interesting because now it's all about the people.
Ooh, I like where this is going. This is about getting involved, right?
Absolutely. Since we're talking about a constitutional amendment, the legislature has to take action, right?
Right.
So the most impactful thing anyone can do is contact their representatives,
Oh,
especially their Republican representatives, and urge them to support and co-sponsor HB 105.
all right. So it's time for all you Kentuckians out there to pick up those phones and make your voices heard. We're talking about calling the legislative hotline,
Yes,
and that number is 1-800-372-7181.
get those calls going.
Don't be shy. Don't just call once.
No,
Make it twice a day.
exactly.
Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Every call makes a difference.
I love it. So this is about showing the Kentucky legislature just how much support there is for HB 105.
Absolutely. They need to see how important this is to the people they represent.
Right, because every call is a message. It's a statement.
Exactly.
And this is your chance, Kentucky, to directly impact the future of cannabis in your state.
It's all about taking action.
So let's say someone is ready to make that call.
Yeah.
But they're thinking, hold on, how do I actually find my representative?
Okay, good question. It's super easy.
Okay.
For example, let's say your representative is Jared Bauman.
Okay.
You can email him directly at jared.bauman@kilegislature.gov.
All right, super simple. Or if you're not sure who your representative is,
Right.
you can always call the Legislative Research Commission,
They're great.
or the LRC for short, at 502-564-810.
They'll hook you up with your representative's info in no time.
It's all about taking that first step, making that connection.
And remember,
Yeah,
don't underestimate the power of actually talking to your elected officials.
I love that. So we've laid out the roadmap. We've given you the tools.
Yep.
It's time for action, Kentucky. Let's make this happen.
I'm excited to see what happens next.
Me too. So we've
Mhm.
talked a lot about taking action and how important it is to reach out to your representatives. But let's take a step back for a second and look at what's actually happening on the ground in Kentucky.
Right. Like, what does the current cannabis landscape look like?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the data actually paints a pretty stark picture. The Kentucky Center for Economic Policy released a report, and it shows thousands of Kentuckians are facing cannabis related charges and convictions every year.
Wow, thousands. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. And you know what's really crazy? A lot of these are for minor offenses.
Like what? Just simple possession or something.
Exactly. Like, for example, Lyon County has a conviction rate of 11.9 per 1,000 residents.
Well, hold on. That sounds really high.
It is. That's more than 4 times the state average.
Wow, that's some pretty staggering numbers. It really makes you think about the human cost of all of this, you know?
Absolutely. Every charge, every conviction, it represents a real person whose life is being affected.
Right. It's not just a statistic, it's someone's job prospects, their housing, their right to vote, even.
Exactly. It's a ripple effect that goes way beyond just a possession charge.
So, with HB 105 on the table, the one we were talking about earlier, the one that could decriminalize cannabis, do you think we could actually see a shift in those numbers? Like, could we see fewer charges and convictions?
Oh, I definitely think it's possible. Decriminalization could really take a lot of pressure off the justice system.
Right. So they could focus on more serious crimes.
Exactly. And think about it, decriminalization could actually lead to new industries,
Oh, yeah.
new jobs, more tax revenue. It could be a real boost to the Kentucky economy.
It's like a domino effect. All these positive impacts stemming from one change.
And it's not just economic benefits either. We could see positive social impacts as well. Well, think about it. Decriminalization could really help change public perception about cannabis,
Hmm.
help break down those negative stereotypes.
Yeah.
And that could lead to more community development, more understanding and acceptance.
I like it. So it's not just about individual freedom. It's about the entire state of Kentucky potentially benefiting from this.
Exactly. It's about creating a more just and equitable society.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Kentucky, but this isn't just happening in a vacuum, right? There's a whole national movement going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're seeing a massive shift all across the country when it comes to cannabis.
Like a domino effect. More and more states are joining the party.
Exactly. More states are legalizing or decriminalizing, and it's really putting pressure on others to reevaluate their own policies.
It's like, hey, if they can do it, why can't we?
Exactly. And that national momentum is putting Kentucky in a really interesting position.
Like at a crossroads.
Totally. They have HB 105 on the table. They've got the KCFC pushing for change, and now they've got all these other states showing them that it's possible.
So it's like a pivotal moment for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Where do they want to stand on this issue?
Exactly. Do they want to be part of this new wave of reform, or do they want to stay stuck in the past?
And that's why it's so important for people to contact their legislator.
Yes, they need to make their voices heard.
It's not just about saying yes or no to cannabis. It's about making sure these complex issues are being discussed.
Right, and that all sides are being heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the KCFC and their role in advocating for HB 105, but they're also doing a lot of educational work, right?
Oh, absolutely. Their website is like a one-stop shop for all things cannabis.
Really?
They've got info on HB 105. They've got the latest research and news.
Wow.
They even have a Know Your Rights section, which is super helpful for anyone who's curious about cannabis in Kentucky.
It's like they're providing people with the tools they need to make informed decisions.
Exactly. And their whole data-driven approach is really effective.
Yeah. Like what the survey says initiative, they're showing that support for reform isn't just a bunch of people shouting. It's actually a widespread sentiment.
It's smart and it gives them a lot of credibility.
It's like they're speaking the language of facts and figures.
Exactly. And that's what policymakers need to see.
It's inspiring to see a group like that so dedicated to making a difference.
They're really putting in the work.
So we've been talking a lot about calling that legislative hotline.
Yeah, it's super important.
But are there other ways people can get involved with the KCFC and their efforts?
Oh yeah, tons. Their website has a how to help section and it's got all sorts of ways to contribute.
Awesome.
You can donate, you can sign up for their newsletter, you can even attend their events and connect with other people who are passionate about this issue.
So it's about finding what works for you, what you're comfortable with.
Exactly. And remember, every little bit helps.
It's all about collective action, right?
Absolutely. And change doesn't happen overnight, you know.
It's process.
The legislative process can be slow, it can be frustrating sometimes, but it's important to stay persistent
Keep those goals coming.
and stay informed. Keep up with what's happening with HB 105 and don't be afraid to speak your mind.
I love it. Okay, so before we move on, is there anything else about HB 105 itself that we haven't covered yet? Any interesting tidbits?
Oh, actually, there's another bill that's kind of connected to all of this. It's called HB 106.
Oh, really? What's that one about?
We don't have all the details yet, but it seems like it's addressing some of the potential consequences of decriminalization.
Like what?
Well, things like expunging past cannabis convictions
Oh, wow, that would be huge.
and protecting Second Amendment rights.
Okay, so it's like they're trying to anticipate some of the challenges that might come up.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and thinking about the bigger picture.
And expunging past convictions, that would be a game changer for so many people.
It would give people a clean slate, a chance to move forward without the stigma of a criminal record.
Exactly. And the Second Amendment part, that's an interesting one because federal law still prohibits cannabis users from owning firearms.
Right. Even in states where it's legal.
So it's like a clash between state and federal law.
It's a complex issue, and it's something that's going to need to be addressed as more states move towards cannabis reform.
It's like a whole other can of worms, but an important one to discuss.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. HB 105, the KCFC, the potential impacts of decriminalization.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
What are some key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, first and foremost, this issue is about way more than just cannabis.
Right. It's about so much more.
It's about individual freedoms, economic opportunities, social justice.
And it's about the role of government in our lives.
Exactly. And for Kentuckians, this is something that directly affects them.
The future of cannabis in their state is, in many ways, in their hands.
Exactly. So whether you're passionate about this issue or just starting to learn about it, your voice matters.
Get involved. Contact your legislators, especially your Republican representatives, and make your voice heard.
Every phone call, every email, it all adds up.
It's about showing them how much this issue matters to you.
And it's not just about voicing your opinion, it's about staying informed
Right. Keep learning. Keep asking questions.
and have those conversations with your elected officials and your community members.
It's a conversation that deserves everyone's attention.
Absolutely. And we've given you the information and the tools to get involved. So we encourage you to keep researching and forming your own opinion.
Exactly. This is about empowering yourselves to make informed decisions. All right. So as we wrap up our deep dive into what's going on with cannabis in Kentucky, I'm really curious what has stood out to you the most from everything we've talked about.
Yeah, it's been a lot to unpack for sure.
It really has.
You know, for me, what's really striking is how we're seeing all these different things coming together at once in Kentucky. Like you've got this shift in public opinion happening,
Yeah.
and you've got this super dedicated advocacy group, the KCFC, really pushing for change.
They're awesome.
They really are. And then on top of that, you've got this real potential for economic and social benefits for the entire state.
It's like all the stars are aligning.
Yeah, it really feels like Kentucky's at a turning point.
It's exciting. And, you know, while we've been focusing a lot on the potential positive impacts of HB 105, we should also acknowledge that this is a complicated issue with valid concerns on all sides.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to consider things like public health, road safety, youth access, and how all of this would be regulated.
Right. It's not just a simple yes or no kind of thing.
It's about having those tough conversations, weighing the pros and cons, and figuring out what kind of future Kentuckians want for their state.
Exactly. And that's why citizen engagement is so important.
Absolutely. It's not just about calling your legislators, it's about talking to your neighbors, your friends, your family,
Right. Having those open and honest conversations about what this all means.
and working together to create policies that actually reflect the values and needs of Kentucky residents.
Okay. So for anyone who might have missed a few things along the way, let's do a super quick recap here. We're talking about HB 105, a bill that could potentially allow Kentuckians to vote on decriminalizing cannabis.
And remember, the most effective way to make your voice heard on this issue is to contact your Republican legislators and tell them to support and co-sponsor HB 105.
That's right. Call that legislative hotline at 1-800-372-7181.
Make those calls.
Twice a day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Every call makes a difference.
And don't forget, you can also find your representative's contact information online through the Legislative Research Commission if you need it.
Super easy. So if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, Kentucky has a real chance to be a leader in this whole movement for cannabis reform that's sweeping the nation.
It's an exciting time.
It really is. And for all of you listening in Kentucky right now, the future of this issue is really in your hands.
Make your voices heard.
That's right. Speak up, get involved, and help shape the future of your state.
And as you continue to learn about this issue, I'll leave you with one final thought. If Kentucky does decide to decriminalize cannabis, what kind of impact do you think that will have on the state?
What kind of economic and social changes might we see?
How will this decision affect different communities across Kentucky?
It's definitely something to think about.
It's a complex issue with a lot of different angles, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We've given you the information, the resources, and hopefully the inspiration to get involved.
Now it's your turn. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the issues that matter most to you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
All right. All right. Y'all still with us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Hey,
Hello, hello.
Robert, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Absolutely, everybody. My name's Robert Matheny. I own Kentucky CBD Pharmacy. I'm board director for Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition, as well as the Kentucky Hemp Association. I'm trying to bind these two industries together to stand united and decriminalize this plant for us. That's my goals. Patrick?
All right. My name is Patrick Dunnigan. I'm the director and creator of Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition. Our goal is to decriminalize cannabis in the state of Kentucky at this moment in time. All right. Our ultimate mission is to legalize it, cannabis, just like alcohol and tobacco. But we understand that we're realists. We wanted to see it decriminalized. So we're going to go over a couple things on how you can help us change the cannabis laws in this state. If we go too fast, please ask us to slow down. Right. And we appreciate Rick being here, Hunter and Trent. Trent, welcome. We're glad to have you here. All right. You ready, Robert?
Roll on.
All right. First thing I want to do is I want to say thank you to our sponsors. All right. KY CBD Pharmacy, Kentucky Medical Marijuana Center, 502 Hemp, Medical Cannabis Clinic of Kentucky, One Love Hemp Dispensary, Bluegrass Therapeutical Cannabis, and Lucky Leaf Expo. These organizations support what we're doing in the state. So if you know these organizations, we ask that you reach out to them and say thank you for what they're doing for us in the state. They really want us to help. With that said, I want to talk about our referral program. If you know of a business that will be interested in supporting us, sponsoring us, reach out to them, have them reach out to us. And if they do a platinum package, right, we'll give you $50. So you just go to legalizekentucky.com referral program if you're interested in participating. Next thing I want to talk about is the Lucky Leaf Expo, which is on May the 30th and the 31st, right? That is a 25% discount code, KCFC 25, right? We're going to have a lot of vendors and booths in the cannabis industry there to talk about how they operate in the cannabis industry. KCSC will be speaking there as well. So we encourage everyone to show up. We would really appreciate to fill the place. Then I want to talk about our 420 event. On 420, we're asking everyone to purchase one of our little buttons. They're only $5. You can go to our website, legalizekentucky.com, KCSC button, right? Purchase the button, right on 420, wear the button, tag us so we can share it. And then I think he's working on a graphic for his 419 event. Robert, you want to talk about that?
Yep, we're still trying to get everything in the works for a 420 event. It's actually on 419, as Patrick said, mainly because 420 falls on Easter. We want a turnout. So it's going to be an event where we've got a whole bunch of small business vendors there. There will be tents available, or not tents available. There will be tents set up. There will be food truck and entertainment. We're just trying to get it all lined up. That way everybody can come out and enjoy all inclusive time. Last year was a great big hit. This year should be even better. So stay tuned on that.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to promote that, and we're excited to be participating in that, Robert. And thank you for that.
Blessing to be able to do it.
Yeah. Secondly, if you're anywhere near Shepherdsville, Kentucky, we are now setting up at the Shepherdsville Awesome Flea Market for the next 2 months to educate about our bill HB 105. So if you're in Shepherdsville, stop by and see us. Grab a button. We're also selling shadow boxes. So come out and say hi to us and let's talk cannabis in the state of Kentucky. All right. We've had some interesting conversations, trust me. All right. Now we're going to talk about some bills here. Okay. We're going to talk about these are the bills that we want to focus on. And Robert's got another bill we possibly haven't, he hasn't got on the graphic yet. But HB 34 is a no, right? We need you to contact your legislator and tell them to vote no on HB 34. It will make people using full spectrum CBD products driving impaired. Robert, you want to add to that?
It means your granny or your mom or your spouse can get a DUI for being a CBD consumer. That's it. If we allow them to say our eyes are red or they smell smoke and test our blood, we're automatic DUI right now. Stone cold sober, we would be considered DUI. So there's a lot of bills that are introduced into our legislature in every session. And a lot of them, just like this, they're introduced as a small part of anti-cannabis. And that little bit of THC they use to pass these laws and show possible inebriation, it's a fear tactic. It's a scare tactic. And that's what they do is they got to make it scary. That way they can regulate it out of our hands. So HB 34, it's a big no. HB 62, that goes kind of hand in hand with the vape bill that passed and was held up inadvertently. It's a HB 11 originally, and it basically got rid of all the vapes in Kentucky that weren't Philip Morris related, because Philip Morris was the main person to sponsor this bill banning those vapes, which is ironic because that's a major manufacturer of tobacco products and they're the ones banning the vapes and leaving only theirs on the market. So just keep in mind, these lobbyists and these large companies, they make time to be heard. They speak to make money. You all have to be able to speak to save yourself money from these laws. And it's as simple as that. I mean, they just got to have an overwhelming response to hear it. So that's our goal here, is to be able to get people to speak and show them where to speak and who to speak to get the right results. We're going on to HB 105 and 106. This is something that should be all over our news cycle, and it is nowhere to be seen. A constitutional amendment in Kentucky. That's huge. This is a red state as it's known. It's blue lead, but it is considered a red state. So they're very heavy leaning on constitutional. So this is a constitutional amendment. This is something everybody can get behind, because this isn't a pro-cannabis. This isn't an anti-cannabis. This is a pro-Kentucky voice. It allows Kentuckians to choose if they want cannabis decriminalization in Kentucky for themselves, yes or no. So you can also have a voice against it in this, but this just simply allows the Kentuckians to vote on it themselves rather than depending on our legislators that have refused to for all these years. We're just trying to give people their chance at actually having their freedom and being represented, even if that means representing ourselves. HB 106 goes into a lot more detail about it. It shows a little more information about the expungement policies on it, expungement of past cannabis crimes, and all the other great parts, how many plants you can grow, which that is a big part of it. There should be no cannabis bill passed that doesn't allow Kentuckians to grow it because that's where the true benefit will come. But that's my take on them. And there's a whole lot more than these bills that you're seeing in the screen. Every legislator, there's 130 some odd, Patrick just told me not long ago. Each one of those representatives, blue or red, can introduce 5 bills. That's a lot of bills to rifle through, and it's a whole lot of muddy water to go through to find our bills. So we got to keep ours at the top, and we got to keep it going loud. And it's very important because all these other bills will jump in. There's a whole lot of them, and a lot of them are serious stuff. A lot of them are just absolute waste of their time. But if we're not involved, guess which ones they're going to focus on? It's not ours. Patrick?
Right. And to Robert's point, the GOP, they decide what bills get introduced into legislative session. So, and this is a bipartisan issue, right? The GOP has made it a GOP issue in my eyes, period. This bill will not go anywhere if it's just strictly just Democratic only. It's just, there's just no way around it. It's just dead on arrival. Everyone knows that. But at the same time, we can't stop. We have to keep pushing forward. We have to move forward. We have to keep continuing these meetings, getting people involved and letting people know that yes, you can stand up for your First Amendment right on what you believe is true in the state. It's that simple.
I think one issue might be whenever we're talking about we've got this bill and it's in Frankfurt, people might think that ball's already crossed the line. But in reality, all that means is this bill has been written, this bill has been introduced by a single representative. And just like I said, all representatives can introduce 5 bills. And just as Patrick said, our GOP are the ones who decide which of these bills are important or supported enough to make it into a committee meeting to be heard for a vote. Because even though we've got it introduced and even though you're hearing about it, it can go nowhere, just like Patrick said, unless there's enough people to get it into these committee meetings. And then once the committee meetings have this agenda, then it has to go through the committee meetings and be voted on. And guys, we're asking legislators to vote themselves out of power on this, just straight out. That's what we're asking. So they're not going to do it willingly. They're not going to do it out of the kindness of their heart generally. They're going to need pressure. And that's what we're here for. We're gentle, we're kind, and we're respectful. But we have to give them pressure to know Kentuckians know what's going on. We're here and we're making our voice heard, and our representatives are ignoring us. We just got to be verbal about it. But just know there's a lot of work left to be done, and this is a very short session. We've got about a little over half of it left, if I know right. So it's important to make sure people know about what's going on here. Patrick?
Right. All right. So today I'm going to go talk about how you can help change the cannabis laws in Kentucky. Whether you're passionate about the social, medical, or economic benefits of cannabis legalization, there are several impactful steps that you can take to contribute to this cause. 1, educate yourself and others. First and foremost, knowledge is power. Begin by educating yourself about the current cannabis laws in Kentucky. Understand the benefits and the risks associated with cannabis use, as well as broader social and economic impacts of legalization. Once you have gathered this information, share it with your family and friends and community. Build a well-informed support base can make a significant difference in promoting change. Now, with that said, our bill, the one that we're focusing on is HB 105. It's just that simple, right? It's now, I'm sick and tired of talking to our legislators until I'm blue in the face. It's now time for the people of Kentucky to be able to have the opportunity to vote on this issue. And this is the bill that does it. It allows you to grow 5 plants and carry up to an ounce of cannabis on you. Now, we understand that 5 plants yields more than an ounce, but we are discussing personal use, period. Whatever you do with that personal use is your business, period. Number 2, engaging in advocacy. Engaging in advocacy is a crucial step. Join local or national advocacy groups that are dedicated to cannabis law reform. These organizations often provide resources, run campaigns, host events where you can participate and amplify your voice. By becoming an active member, you can help create a collective push for change that is far more effective than going it alone. Robert, you want to add to that?
That's what we're doing now, is engaging in advocacy. it gives us protection in groups, straight out. You don't have to be that single person standing out on the street corner with a sign up. You're here, you're in a group. There are 30,000 people just in this group. Engage in advocacy. It's the only way this is ever going to go anywhere. And again, representatives are there to represent us. Whether you voted red or blue, whoever got voted in is still there to represent you in your district. So they're technically working for us. That is the literal part of what they are doing, is they're working for us. So if we haven't made the time to tell them, we need to. And that is advocacy. You've got to be able to reach out to people and advocate for this.
Exactly, because everyone counts. Everyone has something that they can do to participate in this particular movement. All right, we need everyone's support behind this. You want to take number 3?
Absolutely. Contact your representatives. We just said we're blue in the face about this, but it is still important to call them and leave messages. When a few meetings ago, when we had Ms. Nima Representative Nima Kulkarni on here with us, I asked her very specifically to go through what happens whenever she gets a message sent to the message line. And she said very plainly that the message takers either give her a little piece of paper with a note on it, or they give her a list of names and notes, depending on how many calls she gets, that says what these people are leaving messages for. And they are reading these. I mean, if we keep these messages on there, they will hear them. And it's important that we, again, use our voice to these representatives. They're here to represent us, no matter how you voted. And it's our responsibility to let them know how to represent us. So your voice matters, especially when reaching out to your elected officials. Contact your local, state, federal representatives to express your support for cannabis law reform. Writing letters, making phone calls, or attending town hall meetings just like this are all effective ways to communicate your stance. Sharing personal stories and well-researched arguments can have a significant impact on your representative's perspective. Keep in mind, it can have a real good impact on everybody you know too. If you've seen a miraculous result with this plant, tell people. It's important that they hear the positive side of cannabis and the positive effects that people are seeing, rather than everybody just leaning on the 100-year-old stigma that's kept this at bay for all this time. If you've seen something miraculous, make it known. Make it on the news. I mean, call in a news tip. Hey, we've seen this great result with these products right over the shelf. Why are we still fighting for decriminalization when they're here? I mean, it's important to contact your representatives and let them know what's going on. Some of them say they may not even know these products are here. Don't allow them that. Make sure they know by being the person that told them. Patrick?
All right. Oh, let me go back. Well, hold on. Go back to that. Your legislator's number is 1-800-372-7181. That's your legislator's number, 1-800-372-7181. Call them twice a day, weekly, Monday through Friday, right? Tell them to support HB 105. Real quick, we have another legislator that has signed on to this bill. So we are gaining legislators. I just wanted to let you be aware of that good news. All right, but
I'd like to point out on that too, Patrick. The representative that filed this bill for us was a Democrat from Jefferson County. Is that correct?
correct. She's my Democrat. My
All
leg.
right. And we've also got now a Fayette County representative that's offered support to this bill. So that's our 2 major counties in this state that now have a representative supporting this bill. So this is a popular thing. We need to be able to get more representatives on board. So reach out to your representative, especially if they're a Republican, and let them know we would like to have their support on this. We as in us voters.
Yes. All right. And do you am I taking number 4? You mean to
I'll go with it.
go for
It
it?
doesn't matter to me. Support pro-cannabis legislation. Stay informed about upcoming bills and initiatives related to cannabis. When election time comes, make sure to vote in favor of pro-cannabis measures and encourage others to do the same. Your vote is a powerful tool that can help shape policies and laws in Kentucky. Keep an eye on legislative developments to ensure you're ready to support initiatives that align with your views. Our bill, HB 105. I want to say something real quick. Patrick will give the website on all that and legalize Kentucky stuff, but as I said, each representative can introduce 5 bills each. We've got over 130 representatives that can do that. Right now, there are bills in Frankfurt that are being introduced to re-prohibit cannabis. There are bills there that are to re-prohibit cannabis products that we already have. We have to make sure they're not able to do that. And they're sneaking these bills through, similar to how this bill here, HB 105, isn't getting much media. These other bills won't get much media either. It'll pass and it'll happen and you'll have to deal with it because they never told us that this was happening. So be informed, watch out in these groups, pay attention to the bills you're hearing about because they do directly affect you. So that's what we're here for, is to make sure you know what's going on best we can. But there's so many bills going on right now, and it's hot and heavy in Frankfurt. They're dropping bills all around cannabis, pro and against. So get involved, stay with us here, and we'll try to keep you as informed as possible. Patrick.
Number 5, participating in public demonstrations. Finally, show your support by attending rallies, marches, and other public demonstrations that advocate for cannabis legalization. These events not only serve as a show of solidarity, but they also help raise public awareness and put pressure on policymakers to consider reform. Joining others in public demonstration can amplify the message that cannabis law reform is a priority for Kentuckians. With that said, we are seriously contemplating on doing an event in the Rotunda up in Frankfurt. It's going to be probably after session because we have so many things going on with our 420 events and such. But we are planning an event up in the Rotunda, so just keep your eyes out for that. We would love to have the same amount of people show up as they did for the teachers instead of just a couple hundred. Now, those 100 people that have showed up to our rallies, I'm thankful for each and every one of y'all. Y'all took the time and drove to Frankfurt in the middle of dead of winter, right, to be at these rallies. I'm very thankful for that. Right. So number 5 is participating in public demonstration. Number 6, Robert, this is yours.
And what I keep circling around is contacting your media. As we've said, there's a total media blackout on this, and the main reason is if you know about it, you're going to want it. If you don't know about it, you're going to get medical marijuana. So contact your media. An important step in raising awareness about cannabis law reform is to connect with your media. Reach out to newspapers, radio stations, and television channels to share information about the bill and its significance. That sounds like a huge thing. Believe me, it is not. Every time you're scrolling through Facebook and you see a news post, a news story posted by any news agency, you can click on that news agency and there is a email attached or a website attached. You can either email them directly, you can Facebook message them, or you can go to their website and contact them directly via a news tip. And it's important that we do that. They're not going to call you out by name for supporting something. They're looking for stories. They're looking for public interest. And the only way they know public interest is when public contacts them. And trust me, that's the only way my face keeps showing up on news, is because I keep calling and I keep asking them for coverage on these different stories. Ask them to report on the current state of cannabis laws in Kentucky and the potential benefits of reform. By getting media coverage, you can help inform a wider audience and generate public interest, which can put additional pressure on lawmakers to take action. Engaging the media can amplify your message and increase the chances of positive change. Guys, it's so important to contact media. As I've said, Kentucky's in a complete media blackout on this bill because they don't want you to know about it. But that doesn't mean out of state won't cover this. So reach out to NBC, ABC, national news agencies, and ask them, why is Kentucky not covering a constitutional amendment? Put the heat to them every way you can. Think of every angle you can to make them ask, why are we not hearing about this bill in Kentucky? It's a huge thing. You should be hearing about it, just like last year when you heard vote yes or vote no on 2. This is just as important. This affects every Kentuckian. It affects our economy. It affects our agricultural community. It affects the entire state. It's time to stand up for this plant, guys. I've seen what it can do for the last several years, hands-on every day, and it's so far-fetched to think this is a dangerous plant. And for what I've seen this do, it ought to be illegal to have it be illegal. I just ask you to contact your media and let them know any of the positive effects and ask them for coverage on any bills that you want to see, because it's our job to let them know what to cover. Patrick?
Well, what I would add to that is, I'm going to give a shout out to one of our followers. His name's Calvin, right? I can see every time somebody mentions KCFC, and that gentleman has comment every time I look, he's commenting support HB 105 and 106 on any news feeds. So, Calvin, if you're listening, thank you for doing that because he's very consistent. Stuff
Yep.
like that, stuff like that is what we need. All right. So, with that, in conclusion, by taking these steps, you can contribute to an ongoing efforts to change cannabis laws and help create a more informed and equitable society. For more information, you can visit legalizekentucky.com. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you for your attention. All right, so we're going to open it up here real quick. How many we got here with us? We got
We got a
six.
handful today.
Got a
I'll
handful.
say hi to Gail. First time I've seen you in here, and you are appreciated, so we thank you.
Welcome, welcome, Mrs. Gale. Well, we're going to open it up to the floor. If anyone's got any questions, I'm going to look through the Facebook feed and see what's the Facebook feed saying. Anybody got any questions?
I'll go on a short rant then. Hi. So, what I was talking about, we've already got cannabis products here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually working on graphics in the meantime of this meeting is what I've been doing. But we've got hemp products right now. Again, I'm a board member for the Kentucky Hemp Association. I'm not all hemp. I'm a part of the Hemp Association because I am pro cannabis in the biggest way possible. I'm here to join the two industries because hemp is an industry in itself, cannabis is an industry by itself. And believe it or not, back whenever this industry was legalized in 2018, the hemp people were told don't support the cannabis people, and the cannabis people were told don't support the hemp people. They were told this by legislators, and it was to keep a division in this plant. We don't need that. I'm the guy here to stop that. But getting back to this, currently, we have a very robust cannabis market in Kentucky right now. What we have is Delta 9 THC products that we have figured out when it's derived from hemp. It's still the Delta 9 THC that comes from the cannabis plant that you're getting from medical marijuana. There's a lot of videos I do about this, but when it comes down to it, go out to these CBD stores and see what's available right now. It doesn't have to be my store. Go out to any of these CBD stores and see what's available. Because if it's Delta 9, that is the same thing as medical marijuana. What I'm saying in this is, first off, we have these products here and they've been here for years. It's not going to cause any detriment to society. It's not going to cause an increase in traffic accidents. It's not going to cause all these things they've warned us about for decades. We're seeing miraculous results. We've got the ability to decriminalize because we have this currently here right now. And that's also being ignored on the news. You don't see that on the news. You see the stories about kids taking gummies or vapes to school, but you'll never see the story about, hey, these products are just the exact same thing as the medical marijuana products. Anyway, if you want to follow up on those, check out my YouTube, Rob Matheny 1. It has several videos explaining this, and I'm also working on more graphics to show you anyway. But keep in mind, we have these products here, and what I'm asking with that is if you have somebody that retails or sells these cannabis products in your stores, in your neighborhood, in your county, whatever, ask them to support us. Ask if they support cannabis decriminalization. It's important to make sure these businesses that are selling these products aren't just selling it to make money off of you. I sell products, yes. I'm here to fight for your rights. I should be an accessory business. I should be nothing more than a convenience to you because my goal is to have you be able to grow this plant in your yard and gift it to your family and save the money that you should not have to pay the taxes and all these horrible things that we have coming from it. We have to be able to stand together and make this plant legal to help everybody. And again, we've already got it here, but they're so focused on the smokable part and the euphoric part that they're completely ignoring all the miraculous things that we're seeing right now. So just, if you see something, say something. It's important. And again, if you haven't seen these Delta 9 products, wow, you really got to get out more because they are everywhere and they're very, very effective. So again, go out, check it out, and look at what we have versus what they're trying to give us. It's important to know what we have now because they're actively trying to take it away.
All right. So real quick, before I go any further, we got a question, got something from BJ Holder. Are you saying that, there's this flood of misinformation about the medical cannabis and such in the state? Right. What I would say to that is, one, you can go to legalizekentucky.com, right? Click on the link medical, right? And it'll take you straight to the Kentucky Medical Marijuana website, right? So you can go find out exactly what you need to know, what the rules are, the regulations are, where you can find a legal doctor, right? That you can go to in your area. You can just type in your zip code and you can find your doctor. Now, understand something. If your doctor's not within your network, right, you will have to pay out of pocket. There's just no way ifs or buts about it. Now, there are several doctors that have sponsored what we're doing in the state, and we're very thankful for them because they are there for the state of all Kentuckians. They want to make sure Kentuckians are taken care of, and we really appreciate those doctors stepping up and actually engaging in our group. I just can't thank them even as much as I possibly can. But that answers that question for BJ. Just go to legalizekentucky.com, click on medical, get all the information you need to know about the medical program, because that's constantly going to be changing as well.
And the executive order is still
And the executive order is still in effect until they get product on the table. So,
on the shelf.
right, are on the shelf. Anybody have any other questions that we can answer? Because we have about 14 minutes. Mrs. Gale, did you have any questions that we can answer, or Trent? Because you all are new.
I was wondering if I'm on workers' comp for a related injury. I've been on all kinds of medicine, and I'm allergic to the codeine, and I've had to have blood transfusions. Nothing works. Do you know if workers' comp would they be liable to pay for my products if I'm on future medicals? I mean, since they're having to pay for.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
That's a corporate thing. I don't think we can actually, that's something you gotta do. That's corporate America, right? Now that's not to say that there could be legislation that comes down the line that maybe addresses that, right? But I wouldn't say no. I would have to say no on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Mainly because it wouldn't cover under insurance, so they couldn't really say, hey, we're going to cover this, mainly because it's not covered under insurance.
Okay, I thought that. So in network, the doctors that you're talking about that are in network, does that mean in your county?
Well, let me give you an example. Let's say the doctor that you go to now, right? If they've taken the continued education course to be certified as a medical cannabis doctor in the state, then you could see them just like you normally would see them for a normal checkup.
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's simple. But if they're not, you need to go find somebody that's certified. That's when you need to go to the state website and find your doctor and make sure they're on there. That way you're not scammed.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, any other questions? Any other questions?
Where is it Robert?
Yeah.
Where is your store? You said that you have a store that you have.
I'm in Nicholasville and I'm in Danville.
Oh, okay.
But I'll also let you know, Miss Gale, considering we're talking cannabis and you are under workers' comp claim,
Right.
it's very important to know that, it's very important to talk to your current doctors. And if you're on any other medications, make sure that if you're getting drug tested for any reason, medication wise, that they know or they accept cannabis before you do, because even if you get a cannabis card in Kentucky, you can still lose your medications from another doctor unless you're communicating with them. So it's important to know that. But yeah, if you're able to use THC products, highly recommend going out and trying these. But I'll tell you, there's a whole lot to the CBD side that people just ain't hearing either. So be happy to help you if you ever want to reach out.
I tried CBD oil. But it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But that's been years ago. So
We can show you how to do that.
I'm sorry.
What part of Kentucky are you in, Gil?
I live here in Lexington.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that since you're by Lexington, I would go. Have you ever heard of Botany Bay?
I'm gonna
No.
beat you.
Huh?
I said I'm gonna beat you.
Okay, go to you want to go to Danville, go to Danville, KYCBD Pharmacy still, but
You-
Botany may
you-
also help you out.
You come down to Nicholasville, Kentucky, Miss Gail, and you tell me when you're coming, and I'll be there and help you personally.
So where are you at in Nicholasville?
Nicholasville Road. I'm right on Nicholasville Road, just south of Nicholasville, almost to Camp Nelson.
Oh, okay, because we go to Somerset. We travel that all the time, going to Somerset.
I have
I've
for
just been
years
afraid
now.
to try anything because I didn't want to get a positive drug. I didn't want to get a positive drug screen. And
Yep.
what I get, because I get my antidepressants through workers' comp also, I didn't know if they would stop that. If they stop the tramadol, I mean, I'm okay with that. But I didn't want to lose my antidepressant.
Oh, yeah. And I've seen a lot of people lose their medications like that. Not from our store, because I'm very clear about that, but they think it's because it's a over-the-counter product, they're not gonna fail a drug test when this is straight out THC and it will 100% fail the drug test. So
Okay.
absolutely, you can talk to your doctors and you can get any kind of clearance at all. Girl, I will hook you up.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Very
We're having our 420 event down at his shop, so you can come out and visit us.
That'll be
420.
fun.
But he has.
Yeah, it's actually on 419. Is when we're gonna have the event. So you're welcome to come out.
Oh, April the 19th.
Yes, Saturday,
Yep.
Day before Easter.
day before Easter.
Okay, I'll have to put that on my calendar so I won't forget. I forget too many things.
420.
That's a side effect.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you here, Mrs. Gale. And Trent, did you have any questions? You're new. Did you want to add anything? Let's see here. Trent, I don't know if he's still with us or not. We had somebody, Sarah, come on the phone too.
You know, Trent might be tuned out right for a moment.
Oh, that's okay.
Well,
Sarah,
we appreciate seeing each of you.
Anybody else have any other questions? Because we got about 9 more minutes, and if not, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. We're just very thankful for everyone to be in here. We've been doing this since December the 1st. Can you believe that, Robert?
Yes.
December the 1st. We're doing this every week. We're doing twice a week, every week for all the way through the end of session. All right, so we can let people know about these bills. So the next meeting is going to be Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Right. If you're not busy, join us. Right. Invite your family, friends, your legislator. Invite the news reporters. Invite news reporters. All right. We would love to have news reporters onto this call. We had, I think about 4 weeks ago, we had WLKY on this call, wasn't it?
Yep.
WLKY. So, but
Oh, and shout out our Fayette County rep. What's his name?
Yeah,
George.
let me look at his.
George Brown.
Let's see. Can you see my screen? Let's see here.
Representative George Brown Jr., I believe.
George Brown Jr. from Fayette County. And actually, he's from your district, Mrs. Gale.
Okay.
He's from Fayette County, right?
I'm gonna be reaching out to him too.
Yeah, reach out to him and say thank you we appreciate him supporting our bill.
Okay.
Let's see here. What else? We were supposed to have a meeting with Senator West over the weekend or over last Tuesday, but with the weather, it got canceled. We're supposed to hear from Representative Bowman on Friday if he's going to support this bill. I'm strictly staying on the Republican side, contacting every Republican legislator. I had a Republican legislator out of the city of Louisville. He was one of the Louisville City Council reps. He's basically said they're not going to listen to your bill. The GOP is not going to listen to your bill. And I said, this is a GOP issue. They have turned it into a GOP issue. And there's just no ifs or buts behind it. They are refusing to listen to the will of the people. We know that 98% of Kentuckians support the decriminalization of cannabis. It's time to let the people of Kentucky to vote on this issue. Period.
Yeah.
That's all we want. Okay. Any other questions? And we're going to go ahead and call it a night. And Mrs. Gale, we are very thankful again for you being here. All right. I'm sorry, Trent, that you didn't get to tune in. All right. Did Hunter say he's tuned out? All right.
Well,
Anything
thanks for having me.
What's that?
I said thanks for having me.
Oh, you're more than
You're
welcome.
welcome anytime.
You're welcome anytime. Robert?
Folks, it's been a great meeting, educational as always. I'm keeping an eye on the decriminalization bill in both states, down in Kentucky and Indiana. Um, just for a little transparency there, my folks come from eastern part of Kentucky. Mom, dad, they're passed away now. Dad, he was a military man. He was born down in Harlan County. Mom, she was born up in Hyden, right there in Leslie County. Today, I own a little piece of ground down in Leslie County, right outside of Hyden. I was thinking about changing my residency over to Kentucky so I could get my medical marijuana card, but I'm going to hold off here for a little while. Y'all have the same problems down here we got up here. We're calling that the Republican Mafia. I've got the honor of being at the Indiana State House tomorrow for Americans for Prosperity. They're supporting the cannabis movement, so we're going to go up here and give them some support. But boy, you know, gentlemen, I really, after you take a look at all the lobbying that's going on, all the money being spent, it is unreal. I just hate to go up here and have to deal with a bunch of crooks, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Well, Rick, will you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
When you talk to the Americans for Prosperity up in Indiana,
Yes, sir.
have them contact their constituents here in Kentucky.
I sure will. I sure will. And
Colleagues in Kentucky, because they supported our bill they were behind our bill, and now they're not returning my calls.
well, let me see where I can help out. Okay. Like I said, I'll be up here tomorrow. I'll talk with him. Patrick, I'll give him your information, and Robert, I'll give him your information, and I'll ask him to get hold of you. Okay.
Sounds like a
Absolutely.
plan.
We appreciate it.
We
Hey, no
appreciate-
problem. Anywhere I can help out.
All right, everybody counts. Everyone counts. With that, I want to say thank you. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. We will see you Sunday morning. Peace out.
Thanks, y'all.
God bless everyone. Bye.
Have a
See
good
y'all Sunday.